guys got played in the snow against Purdue. It might snow again up in Notre Dame. They get a lot of snow games up there. What do you kind of learn about what it takes to play in that kind of environment, and how can you apply that to this if it happens?
It's gonna be cold. You gotta stay in the cold. It come with it. Like I say, it's football weather. It's nothing you can do. Like Keyshawn said, you gotta get yourself to the cold.
Do you do anything just to kind of deal with that in terms of catching passes or anything? Does it affect you in any way like that?
I mean, no, not really. Ball come your way, same mentality. You gotta come down with it.
Todd?
Kind of a two-part question, Myles. From the outside looking in, it seems like everything's gone pretty smoothly for this team this year. I guess the first part of my question would be, being somebody who's new, how smooth has it been, and how smooth has this been compared to some of your seasons at Texas Tech?
I mean, it's definitely been really smooth. I got here in January and don't regret any moment of it. This is what we worked up for. This is the vision that I seen, honestly. When I broke it down to like my family and things like that, every year there's multiple teams in college football who had a losing record the year before, and then the next year they go on to do things like this. So I already had this is how I had it mapped out in my head, and it just happened to work out like that.
Given all of that, have there been any moments that maybe aren't as obvious to us that tested the resolve of the team a little bit? I know Coach Signetti says to never be satisfied. Have there been any moments where you guys had to kind of have that belief tested a little bit, even internally?
I would say we really got tested Ohio State. Things didn't really go our way, but I don't think there's been something like to where guys kind of feel like, hey, we've arrived. I don't think there's been that type of mentality. I think with everything we did, it was a process oriented, and we just kind of followed the process, and we're here now.
So,
as much as you had that mentality throughout the season, just what was this weekend like watching the selection show, seeing Indiana's name pop up on there? Just what was that moment like to kind of see Indiana pop up on the screen?
I was super excited. I'm sitting there waiting. Every time they go to commercial, I'm like, come back on. Me and my girlfriend, we sitting there. So when it came up, we started yelling. We get excited. I'm calling my mom, look, we playing in Notre Dame. Like, my friends calling me. It was a super cool and fun moment.
Mike and Pete?
What have you enjoyed most this season?
What have I enjoyed?
Yeah, what have you just enjoyed? Winning is obviously a good feeling, good to make the playoffs. What you kind of look at this body, this last year for you. What are you taking away from it as a veteran, guys that have so much experience?
Honestly, I would say being around the guys, because when I first got here, of course we weren't close. I didn't know nobody. I knew Kobe, I knew Phil. They ended up leaving, so I really was just out here with my girlfriend, So getting to know everybody, and especially in the receiver room, how close we got. They're really like my brothers and my family now.
Pete and Josh?
A two-part. One, when you see that tickets are going for like $1,000 or more, just what's your thought on that? And then the other one, the question I asked James, IU hasn't won at Notre Dame since 1906. Just the thoughts about being able to do something incredibly special.
I'm sorry. So, what was the first question?
First one was the tickets are $1,000.
Right.
Just your thoughts on the interest for this game.
That's wild. If my family ain't got a ticket, they not gonna be coming. So, that's like NFL games. I could imagine. I've never been to one, but I could imagine that's like NFL prices, So I think that's kind of cool. And then, what was the second question?
The other one was that IU hasn't won at Notre Dame since 1906. Just the opportunity to do something. You've already done a lot special, but even more special.
Right. Honestly, I don't even think that's a great stat. I didn't know that, but I just think it's all about the process. How we prepare, things like that, and I think everything else will take care of itself once we get out there on Friday.
Josh and Daniel?
Myles, you've been here since January. You guys have had a massive impact on the Bloomington community. Do you guys notice that at all?
Yeah, people always kind of tell us. I think that's when I really notice it, and especially when I look back, on what the games looked like and now what they are. It's very exciting to see, and I'm glad I'm here to be a part of it,
Daniel and Will?
On the Irish, I want to say they're number 3 in is it air yards allowed, or it's obviously a high number, but just What about them, from what you've seen on film, just is so impressive about them?
I would say how hard they play. I think they all play really hard. They get to the ball. They're physical. You know, they have good really good players on the front end, and then really good players on the back end. I think they just have a lot of things that kind of complement each other.
There's a notion of players over plays. I'm curious where you lie on that.
Say it again.
Players over plays. It's kind of like
Yeah. So I get what you're saying. You know, I mean, the players out there, we're the ones that's playing. You know, so sometimes you might not have the perfect call, but it's on us to execute it. You know.
Will and Zach.
Myles, you talked about in January you had to explain to your parents why you wanted to come here, and then you got to make that phone call. You guys were going to the playoffs. How was that feeling that you kind of, you know, your idea came true?
It was
in your math house.
All my mom and pops kept saying to me was like, "Look at God. Look at God. He works in mysterious ways. You know, you never know. Just put your trust and your faith in Him, and I mean that's all you can really do."
Zach and Joe.
How was the last couple of weeks and really just the lead up into the selection show, and now how has the shift all of a sudden the focus all of a sudden shifted to Notre Dame these last couple of days?
So at first, you know, when we didn't know who we were playing, it was kind of a little more laid back. We were still practicing, of course, but practices weren't as intense. You know, not really so much good on good. We're mainly scouts, getting different looks of teams that we possibly could have played. And then once Sunday came and we found out who we were playing, now it was kind of like you got to shift it. You know, it's time to lock in on what we have to do, what we got to do to accomplish our goal. You know.
Joe, last one.
You mentioned how so much of this team is the process-oriented base. How much of that process do you try and implement into your daily life to best prepare yourself for game weeks?
I mean, I would say like looking over your notes that you just had in meetings from yesterday or the day before, and then of course watching as much film as you possibly can, and just kind of getting a feel for what you're going to see and who you're playing, what these guys' tendencies are, you know, things like that. Just any chance I get, try to throw on, even if it's 10 minutes where I can click through tape. Just click through tape 10 minutes, then do whatever else I have to do, you know.